has them strategically placed. Here, there was one. Here, I don't know where it is. It might have fallen down. Okay, put it here instead. Kansho. Namandab, 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 namandab.
Good morning. Welcome to our service on Sunday, June 19th. Happy Father's Day and happy Juneteenth. Today's Chosho will be led by Isabel Shoujo Bernard, and our speaker will be Reverend Rong Miyamura, resident minister of the Midwest Buddhist Temple, Chicago. We'll begin with welcome and opening Gassho, then quiet sitting, then Sutra chanting of JU-SEI-GEI, then Vandana and Tisarana, followed by Meditative Reading, followed by a Dharma talk by Reverend Rong Miyamura, and then a Gatha Seiya on page 226, and the Nembutsu on page 169. We will conclude with words of appreciation and announcements and closing Gassho. Thank you.
Welcome everyone. So glad to see you all here today. We will start our service with quiet sitting. Please sit with your straight backs, relax yourself, and follow your breath. opening your mind to hearing the words of the Dharma. Sutra JU-SEI-GEI is page 93 in your purple service book. Everyone, please stand. Place your palms together in Gassho for the reading of the Vandana and Tisarana. Please be seated. Today's meditative reading will be from the book The Heart of the Buddha Dharma by Reverend Kenryu Tsuji. And the chapter I'm reading from is titled Namo Amida Butsu, Recitation of the Nembutsu. Nembutsu literally means I meditate on Buddha, and Namo Amida Butsu means I take refuge in Amida Buddha, the Buddha of infinite life and light. The Nembutsu is the heart of the Buddhist religious experience. The recitation of the Nembutsu, Namo Amida Butsu, a meditation, enlightens us to our humanity and leads us to the full realization of the ultimate power of wisdom and compassion, which we Buddhists call Buddhahood. Psychologically, the recitation of the Nembutsu is a conscious acceptance of Amida's wisdom and compassionate work. Religiously, the recitation of the Nembutsu is an act of gratitude, naturally arising from an awakening to the wisdom and compassion of Amida Buddha. A man who lives in the supreme knowledge and profound conviction that he is now encompassed in Amida's eternal light, which never casts him away, is known as a man who lives the life of Nembutsu. The Nembutsu is the complete identification of myself with the transcendent power of wisdom and compassion from which I derive my meaning for existence. The Nembutsu is the center of my being, the spiritual home from which I operate and where I find the spiritual power to carry out all my moral, social, and religious commitments. It is the verbalization of my inner awakening to the reality of life and the world. It is the sound of the infinite touching the finite. Only in the absolute passivity of the Nembutsu do I find the unfathomable source of my life's true identity. Namo Amida Butsu. I'd like to introduce our board chair, Gail Inaba, who will introduce our guest speaker today.
I don't want to take my shoes off, so I'm going to stand here and not go on to the 19th. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's service. It's very nice to see everybody. We're very happy and honored to have Reverend Rod Miyamura join us this morning to deliver our Dharma message. Reverend Rod is our supervising minister from Midwest Buddhist Temple. He was appointed as our supervising minister after Reverend Earl Ikeda retired last August. Reverend Rod graduated from UC Berkeley and attended the pre-ministerial candidate version of the Institute of Buddhist Studies before going to Ekoku University in Kyoto, Japan, where he earned his master's degree in Shin Buddhist Studies. He received his ministerial ordination in 1973. From 1973 to 1975, Reverend Ron served as associate minister at the Midwest Buddhist Temple in Chicago with the late Reverend Jodo Kono, the temple's founding minister. After Reverend Kono's sudden passing in 1975, Reverend Ron served as MBT's resident minister until 1981, when he resigned and went over to the dark side. So not to worry, because he didn't stay there, but forever. He went into business. During his official absence from active ministry, Reverend Ron continued ministering the Twin Cities Sangha and continued to assist Midwest Buddhist Temple ministers. In 2009, Reverend Miyamura became the part-time minister of the Cleveland Buddhist Temple. In 2010, he became the supervising minister of Midwest Buddhist Temple, and then in 2011, MBT's full-time resident minister. So we're very happy to welcome him. We're very happy to have him as our supervising minister, guiding and working alongside with our three extremely capable Kokugyo ministers. So without much ado, may I ask Reverend Ron to give us our Dharma message.
Good morning. It is a treat to speak here at the New York Buddhist Church. I've been your supervising minister since the retirement of Reverend Earl Ikeda. But due to the pandemic, I have not traveled until now. And I'm sorry you're stuck with me. I'm not a very good minister. I'm certainly not a good speaker. I'm probably very boring. So, at least I won't talk long. Yeah, lower the expectations. And I'm not pretty, I'm not handsome. This is a face made for radio. Not for television, not for that video camera, so you're stuck with me. But first I have to thank Gary, Isabel, and Cheryl, the minister's assistants with Tokudo, who have been taking care of the services and all the other religious activities here at New York Buddhist Church. This is such an outstanding team, and I have total confidence in all their talents and abilities. So I am really just a visiting minister today. And thank you again, Gary, Isabel, and Cheryl, for the effort and all the work you do. This morning is Father's Day, of course, and happy Father's Day to all our fathers, our biological fathers, our stepfathers, and the substitute fathers, the uncles that we've had in our lives that have guided us. So it is Father's Day to all the fathers. This morning is also a reminder that we're almost at the summer solstice. The start of summer and the longest daylight of the year, coming up on, the 21st. And it is appropriate. Today is June 19th. This is a new holiday, Juneteenth. The day, June 19th, 1865, was when in Galveston, Texas, the Afro-American slaves were finally given their freedom. It was almost 2.5 years after the Emancipation Proclamation, issued by President Lincoln in January 1st, 1863. It took until June 19th for it to take total effect. The last place was in Galveston, Texas. So it is a day of freedom, a reminder that freedom is not free. It was the last day and the final day when slavery ended in the United States. It's difficult to imagine the cruelty of slavery today, yet certainly it is part of our history. It was a radical change in the culture and social norms of the day. Radical change is actually something that we as Shin Buddhists should be familiar with. I'd like to explain a little bit. Our founder, Shinran Shonin, this was a person, a man, who changed the culture and the social norms of the day. Shinran saw a path for enlightenment for everyone, without exception, for everyone. He upset the normal practices of Buddhism at the time, which was monastic, up in the mountaintop. It was elitist. One had to be educated to be a celibate monk or nun to practice Buddhism. And even fewer monks and nuns found enlightenment. So it was not open for everyone. Shinran was an orphan by the age of 9, and he became a Tendai monk. And he tried the various forms of Tendai practices for 20 years. And he was a failure. He did not find enlightenment in his 20 years of practice. And then he encountered his teacher, Honen Shonin, the founder of Jodoshu, or the Pure Land sect of Buddhism. Together with Honen and other disciples, Shinran realized that one did not have to be a monk or a nun to find enlightenment. The Pure Land was available to everyone, regardless of gender, of education, of age, of wealth, or whatever. Nothing mattered. Just come to the Dharma. Shinran went further and became the first openly married monk who had a family while spreading the Buddha Dharma among the farmers, the peasants, the fishermen, as well as the educated in the aristocrats. I can't say aristocracy. Aristocrats. For Shinran, it was a non-elitist religion, a religion for everyone, for ordinary people, just like us. And along the way, the descendants of Shinran started the Honganji, this school of within Pure Land, within Shin Buddhism. Actually, it was his youngest daughter and her son who built the first temple and started, the son became the first spiritual leader of the Monshu, a descendant of Shinran, to be our spiritual leader. And this started the congregational style of temples, with members gathering to listen to the teachings. So this also changed the architecture of the buildings, architecture of the temples. Before the buildings, before Shin Buddhism, the temples often were 100% for the monks, or maybe 80% for the monks and a small section for the lay people. But Shin Buddhism reversed that. 20% is for the monks and 80% is for the lay people to come to listen to the Dharma. And we take that for granted, but it was revolutionary, just changed everything around. And we take that for granted today, but we have to realize how much that meant to everyone, to be able to gather and listen to the Dharma. So in short, Buddhism came off the mountaintops, off the monastic tradition, came off the mountaintops and into the towns and villages to affect the lives of ordinary people. It may not sound radical or revolutionary today, but it shifted how Buddhism became available to lay people, to lay persons, ordinary people. Buddhism became available to everyone. And this broke the restrictions of having to be educated, or to be wealthy, or to be nobility, to become aware of the Buddhist teachings. This broke the exclusiveness of Buddhism. And this is who we are. This is who we are. Shin Buddhists. Shin Buddhism is available for everyone. And to put it a different way, or what I have come to use as a phrase or a theme, come as you are and stay a while. Come as you are. I don't remember when I first heard this phrase, but I think it was at the Buddhist Study Center in Hawaii on my way home from Japan back in 1973. But it's a phrase that's been rolling around in my head for many years. So when I came back to the active ministry in 2010, I started using this phrase as sort of a model or a theme. Come as you are. Come as you are. And this is a phrase that comes from the parable that probably many of you are familiar with, the parable of two rivers and the narrow white path. To quickly recap that story, in this story, there's a man in the desert chased by bandits and wild beasts. And he comes across a very unusual river. And on one side of the river is a river of fire. The other side is a river of water. And there's a narrow white path across. And the man is frozen in fear. He doesn't know what to do. He's being chased by bandits and wild beasts. He can't go back. The banks of the river seem endless. The river of fire seems so dangerous. The river of water seems equally dangerous. And then he hears a voice calling him to trust himself, to cross the river in the narrow white path. And the voice is saying, he will be safe. So slowly he starts to cross the river, and he hears another voice, encouraging him to continue to be firm in his determination to escape the dangers. And soon he is on the other shore, the shore of Amida's Pure Land, too soon to be enlightened. And this story is filled with symbolism, and it's a long story. I've made it very short. But briefly, the bandits and beasts, wild animals, are the desires that are endless within us. The river of fire is a symbol of anger. The river of water, the symbol of greed. The first voice is the voice of Shinran, showing us that it is safe to cross the river on the narrow white path. And the second voice is the voice of Amida, encouraging us to continue and to keep going. But the real meaning, or what I take from the story, is the man does not become a monk and a disciple of the Buddha at the end of the story. He is an ordinary person who remains an ordinary person. This is really the first Buddhist parable story that talks about an ordinary person. And to continue on the narrow white path, and we call that the Nembutsu path, the path of the Nembutsu, to cross over to the other shore of Amida's Pure Land. So we are ordinary people, just as this man running through the desert, frozen, not knowing what to do, reaching that crisis point that we all face sometime in our lives, at various times, many times probably. What do we do at that time? And we realize there is a narrow white path in front of us, the path of the Nembutsu. We just have to trust that we could cross on it. There's river of fire, river of water, seems dangerous. No, you have to trust. Some would say to have faith, I think, but no, to trust or entrust in the Nembutsu, that we come as we are. There are no requirements, there are no restrictions. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor. It doesn't matter if you're a monk or a nun or a lay person. It doesn't matter what gender you are. It doesn't matter how educated you are. Just come as you are and stay a while. Join the Sangha that I call fellow travelers. Because we're all in this together, following who knows where, but we're just traveling together. And that's the important part, that we're together. So we need to be able to laugh at ourselves. It's very important to keep a sense of humor. And the practice of Shin Buddhism really is to look at ourselves, to be able to laugh at ourselves, to look at our limitations and say, silly me. Look at how limited I am. But if you take that seriously, you're in trouble. You have to be able to lighten up. And so we change without changing because we're ordinary people. We can't change that. And we're all in this together. I'd like to close with a phrase. That's one of the things that I've tried to gather since 2010 when I came back to the active ministry. Are phrases or thoughts that are in English that sort of resonate, mean something to me. Come as you are is something that resonates with me. Another is a phrase I first heard from my friend Reverend Bob Oshta, the retired minister of Sacramento. He used it the first time I saw it, because I don't live out there anymore, but was on a video from, he was the chaplain at the state legislature in Sacramento, the capital of the state. But he's the chaplain there, and he gave a nice short opening meditation. What do they call those things? Anyway, like an invocation, for this legislature. But, it was like this short talk, and he closed with this phrase that I really like and I like to share. The phrase is, and I can't do it like Reverend Bob because he has perfect timing. He's one of those natural speakers. But Namo Amida Butsu, with gratitude and kindness beyond words. I hope that resonates, continues to resonate. Namo Amida Butsu, with gratitude and kindness beyond words.
Thank you, Reverend Ron, for your wonderful talk. We're so glad to be able to welcome you back to New York Buddhist Church. We will now have our Gatha. First will be Seiya, which you may find on page 226 of your service book, followed by Nembutsu on page 169.
Page 169.
Nam
So this will be bringing us to the end of our service today. So do we have any announcements from the Sangha? Okay, next week we have our, next week after service, we will be joining the Pride Parade. You may speak to Reverend Gary after the service to get the particulars on where we might meet, or if you received our MailChimp announcement, there is an email for a Sodaiko member who will be coordinating, as Sodaiko will be leading the march off for New York Buddhist Church. After today's meeting, we will have a board meeting. So those of you who are stuck with that meeting, please do not leave after service so that we may have our meeting. Are there any other announcements?
Children's taiko.
Oh, yes. We have on Sunday, June 20th, June 26th, there will be a performance around 12:45, 1 o'clock by Teddy Yoshikami's teen taiko group and 1 or 2 adults who study with her. They'll do 2 pieces, Renshu and Matsuri. So for those who are not marching in the Pride Parade and who would like to hear the wonderful taiko performance by the students, please come. That will be held downstairs in the dojo, I believe. Yeah, that will be held downstairs in the dojo after next week's service. Any other announcements? Okay. I would like to thank first and foremost our speaker today, Reverend Ron Miyamura. Thank you so much, Sensei, for joining us today in New York and taking that great leap of faith to come on an airplane to New York City. We really do appreciate that. And I would also like to thank our NYBC MAs who are here in full, Reverend Gary Jaskula, Reverend Cheryl Ikimiya, and our newest minister's assistant, Reverend Aaron Prophet. So thank you all for participating in today's service. Thanks to Nobuko Kodama-san for playing the piano, to Keiko Otaka. No? Who is the greeter? Ruth. Okay. Hiroki. Thank you to Hiroki, Ruth, Keiko. Thank you to all the smiling faces, Gertrude, who greet everyone when you come in. And thank you for Kwanye for handling today's tech equipment. We really do appreciate that you took time to do that for us. Thank you so much. But mostly thank all of you, both in the ether and present, for joining us today. I feel like I'm at a Billy Joel concert. The Hondo is rocking with everyone's presence today. We appreciate your being here. It's by our joining our voices together in Nembutsu that the service becomes meaningful for all of us. So thank you very much. We have some guests here from Japan. So Sensei, would you please stand and allow us to greet you?
My name is Nobuyuki Okamoto from Tokyo. My daughter is in New York. Yuki Okamoto, and Blair is our husband. And since Reverend Miyamura is a speaker this morning, I wanted to see him. I know him when I was in Hawaii. You remember? long time ago. I was a minister at the Honganji, Honolulu Basin. At that time, I met him at the Buddhist Study Center.
Yes.
So I wanted to see him this morning. Thank you very much for your nice time.
Thank Thank you so much. And thank you to our board chair, Galen Alba, for introducing Reverend Ron. And any more thanks to be given? Just thank you to Amida. Let's close with closing Gassho. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. We look forward to seeing you next week at our usual time, 11:30. And thank you for joining us today. With that, our service closed. Anyone who has not yet done Oshoko, incense offering, is welcome to do so. And if you do not know how, one of us will be happy to show you.